Boys, remember when I did these 60-second chess openings? Well, now I'm going to do 5-minute chess openings. Starting, of course, with the Italian game. Let's get it. After the classic Italian moves, the most common response for black is knight to f6. And if you're anything rated under 1500, then I would recommend going knight to g5 here, the fried liver. The most common response is d5, take, and if they take, sacrifice the knight, and when they take, go queen to f3 check. I will be making a video about the fried liver on its own, but for now, what I'm going to tell you is if they go king to g8, then you can take this, boom, and it's going to be checkmate here. And if they go really anything other than king to e6, then you can just take the knight and you're up a pawn. Your opponent doesn't have the right to castle. And if your opponent plays king to e6, then I'd recommend playing knight c3 and eventually play d4, castle, get the rook, break open the center, open up your bishop, and it's going to be great. However, the better move for black in this position is knight to a5, in which I would play bishop to b5 check, c6 will most definitely happen, take, and I like the tricky move queen to f3 here, because if they take, you take the rook. Usually here, you will probably face either bishop b7 or bishop d7, and against this, you should play bishop to a4. However, in this position, they don't always play d5. There's also the dark knight gambit, and if you take, you get forked. And if you take this, they play queen to h4, and there's a big attack here. So you should always take with the bishop, and then play d3 here, and it's just like you're up a pawn, your opponent can't castle, it's great. And also, there's a trap here, and if they decide to take, and there's bishop takes g5, king takes f7, and then you take the queen. Of course, there's also the Traxler counterattack, but all you need to know against this is just bishop takes f7, and you're fine. Of course, if you're above 1500, the fried liver probably won't work anymore, and so instead, what you should do is play d3. And after bishop c5, you can even play c3 trying to do d4. It's the Guico pianissimo variation. I typically don't like to get into those boring positions, though. If your opponent plays bishop to c5, and then I would always play c3 here, knight to f6, and you finally get to put two pawns in the center. E takes d4, and here, do not take back immediately. First go e5. If they go knight e4 here, still don't take back, although it is still a pretty good move. Instead, play bishop to d5. The best move here is actually to just sacrifice the knight, and once you take, there's d takes c3 check, and then it's just pandemonium. The best move for your opponent here in this position is actually d5. And I know you want to, but resist the urge to play en passant. And don't even take the knight, instead go bishop to b5. By far the most common move here is knight to e4, but even if they go knight d7, what you still want to do is do c takes d4. Here against bishop to b6, what you want to do is develop the knight. And if they take, you can take back, and it's actually really good for you, because they've traded off a really active piece. And here, if you face the even more common move, bishop to b4, play bishop d2, and if they take, obviously take back with the knight, not the queen. And now you can both castle, and you've reached a pretty good middle game. And finally, another move that you're going to face a lot here is h6, specifically if you're under 1500. Here, I would either play d4 or castle. Since I'm pretty more aggressive, I typically play d4 here, and after it takes, you actually want to castle instead of immediately taking back. And after the most common move, knight to f6, you can play e5, getting a similar to this position to what we had before, but just without this bishop out and without this pawn on c3. But if they play the natural-looking bishop to c5, what you can do is c3, takes, and then sacrifice the bishop, and after takes, you play queen d5 check. No matter where they go, you go queen takes c5, obviously, and then d6. And of course here, you're going to want to play queen takes c3, and it's +1, you got some better development, it's a nice position. And that is the Italian game in under 5 minutes. Like and subscribe for more of these nuts.